It was just a Facebook comment. A few hastily typed words posted in the heat of a digital argument. But by the time the sun rose the next morning, one man would be dead, another in police custody, and a community in stunned disbelief. In the age of social media, where lives are lived out loud and opinions clash in virtual public squares, words can cut deeper than knives. And sometimes, they kill. This is the chilling story of how a petty online spat spiraled into real-world violence. A tragic case that reminds us how toxic online interactions, unchecked emotions, and fragile egos can become a deadly combination. Welcome to True Crime Hub. In today's episode, we delve into the horrifying case of Donnell Brooks and Caleb Turner, two men whose paths crossed in the comments section of a controversial Facebook post and ended in bloodshed. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe for more emotionally gripping, psychologically revealing stories that uncover the darkest corners of modern crime. And don't forget to hit the like button. It helps get these stories out to more people. Now, let's go back to where it all began, with a comment that no one could have predicted would lead to murder. Atlanta, Georgia, July 2022. The summer heat was stifling, and tensions across the country were still simmering from waves of social unrest, police violence, and political polarization. In neighborhoods across America, people found a new battleground: the internet. The Facebook comments section had become a modern-day coliseum where verbal gladiators clashed daily. It was in this arena that Donnell Brooks and Caleb Turner collided. Donnell Brooks, 29, wasn't a celebrity, a politician, or a local activist. He was a hard-working mechanic with grease under his fingernails and love in his heart for his two young children, Anaya and Marcus. He lived a modest life in a rented duplex on Atlanta's east side and spent his free time posting on Facebook, mostly memes, videos of police brutality, and rants about systemic racism. He wasn't always right, and he knew it. But he believed in saying what needed to be said. Caleb Turner, 26, was cut from a different cloth. A former Marine who served in Afghanistan, Caleb returned home deeply patriotic, skeptical of media narratives, and protective of authority. He believed in order, discipline, and personal accountability. Now working private security for corporate buildings, Caleb had grown increasingly outspoken online, often clashing with anyone who challenged his black and white worldview. The post that lit the fuse was a viral video shared on Facebook of a police officer slamming a teenage black boy to the ground outside a gas station. The caption read, "This is why we scream defund." Donnell reposted it with his own caption, "They'll keep doing this until one of them gets what they deserve." Within minutes, his post gained traction. Comments flooded in, including from friends and strangers. But one comment stood out, Caleb's. Maybe if he followed instructions, he wouldn't have ended up on the pavement. Donnell responded sharply, spoken like a true bootlicking clown. It was the spark that ignited an inferno. The back and forth between Donnell and Caleb evolved rapidly into a full-blown feud. Each comment from Caleb seemed to push Donnell further into fury, and vice versa. Friends jumped in. Some tried to calm the situation. Others escalated it by choosing sides and hurling insults. Caleb typed, "You people always play the victim." Donnell replied, "Funny how you'll love rules until they apply to you. You're soft, soldier boy." Over 300 comments in 24 hours. The post had turned into a battlefield. But it didn't stop there. The conflict spilled over into private messages. Caleb DM'd Donnell, "Say that to my face." Donnell took a screenshot of the message and posted it with a laughing emoji and the caption, "These tough guys in my inbox now face with tears of joy, face with tears of joy." The post went semi-viral in their local community. Dozens of mutual friends watched as the argument metastasized. Caleb began digging into Donnell's old photos, uncovering a 2018 mugshot from a DUI arrest. He reposted it, writing, "This your community leader." Donnell, enraged, clapped back by tagging Caleb's employer, claiming he was a racist working private security. "Imagine this dude with a gun and a badge," he wrote. The online drama had crossed into real life. People began picking sides in group chats and community forums. Some warned that it was getting too personal. But neither man would back down. Donnell's cousin Terrence tried to intervene. "Bro, this dude is not worth it," he messaged. "He's trolling you. Block him and be done." But Donnell didn't. He was tired of always backing down. Caleb's co-worker, Melissa, noticed he was more agitated than usual. "You all right, man?" she asked one evening. "He's threatening my job," Caleb snapped. "If he wants to make it personal, I'll make it permanent." On Friday, July 8th, Donnell attended a house party thrown by a longtime friend on the east side of Atlanta. It was a casual get-together, music, food, laughter. Someone tagged him in a story. Caleb saw the tag. Without saying a word to anyone, he got in his car. Witnesses later described the moment Caleb walked into the party as tense. He didn't say hello. He didn't make eye contact with anyone except Donnell. He had murder in his eyes. One attendee would later testify. Donnell looked at him, confused. "You really came all the way out here over a Facebook post?" Caleb didn't respond. He walked up close. Too close. Donnell shook his head. "You need help." Then Caleb shoved him. Donnell pushed back. And then, a shot rang out. Donnell collapsed on the pavement. Chaos erupted. Screams. Sirens. Blood pooled as his friends tried to stop the bleeding. He was pronounced dead on arrival at Grady Hospital. Caleb turned himself in 3 hours later. The police bodycam footage shows him hollow-eyed, hands trembling. "He pushed me," he muttered. "He pushed me too far." He was charged with second-degree murder. The trial began in March 2023. Prosecutors brought in social media analysts who chronicled the entire feud. Over 1,200 screenshots of interactions. The jury saw the memes, the threats, the DMs. The defense argued provocation. They said Donnell taunted Caleb into action. But the prosecution's key argument was intent. Caleb went to that party uninvited, armed and angry. He crossed city lines to confront a man over words. The verdict, guilty of voluntary manslaughter. Caleb was sentenced to 18 years in prison. Donnell's funeral was held at a church packed wall to wall with mourners. His daughter Anaya clutched a drawing she made of her dad. On it, she wrote, "My daddy told the truth." Months later, she launched a school project called Think Before You Type. It spread to other schools. Experts held town halls about social media rage. One speaker, a psychologist, said, "We've trained ourselves to treat people online as enemies, not humans. That disconnection kills empathy. And sometimes, it leads to real death." This was not just a murder, it was a mirror. How many times have we let anger consume us behind a screen? How many times have we typed without thinking about the human being on the other end? If this story moved you, share it. Start conversations. And most importantly, ask yourself, is it worth it? At True Crime Hub, we don't just tell stories. We expose the roots of violence and ask hard questions. Subscribe, hit the bell icon, and join us next time for another true crime case that reveals the darkness within us all. Until then, stay safe, stay kind, and remember, words matter. Always.